Pat Forde, Sports Illustrated senior writer, host of Others Receiving Votes podcast at SI.com. He will be at the Texas-Georgia game on Saturday, then on site for USC-Oregon as well. Oh, you went to Texas-Georgia. I'm sorry. Then you'll be at the USC-Oregon game. You're moving around sort of like Lane Kiffin is. So what do you make of this tour of the South with Lane Kiffin?
I need the private jet access that Lane and his family has right now. It's brazen. It's, I think, insulting to the current Mississippi team. But it's Lane Kiffin. And Lane loves to toy with people's emotions, loves to grandstand, loves to be out in front of whatever's going on. I think he thrives on chaos to a degree. And so sending your family to Florida and to LSU when there's 0.0% chance that that's not going to become a big public deal is pretty on brand for Lane. But, I mean, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, if I'm an Ole Miss player and you've bought in for this season that's the best the school's had in 60 years and your coach's family's out doing this, I'd be a little bit ticked.
Yeah, I would want to ask my coach. I would want to say, are you all in with us?
Right.
I think that's fair to ask if the captains got together with Lane to say, hey, are you all in with us? This feels like, and you would know better than me, Pat, and I have no information. Maybe somebody's agent leaked that Lane's family was going to LSU and going to Florida. Maybe then you go back to Ole Miss and boost the offer. I mean, this is college football today.
Well, it sure is. And that's the thing. The agents have massive powers. Agents Jimmy Sexton, the most powerful of all of them. And Jimmy's not above playing hardball. And I think if he feels like, this is something that's going to help us get a better deal, then sure, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. That is how things work in a college football ecosystem, Dan, that, as you know, the hiring cycle is completely ridiculous and stupid and unfolds during the season. And it doesn't matter if you're having a great season. You're still going to get caught up in it if you are a coach who's being wanted here. And I just have never quite understood the tolerance level for this. I actually asked Greg Sankey on Saturday. He was at Texas, Georgia. I said, any problem within your conference with schools poaching coaches during a season, and it's like the best season Ole Miss has had in decades. And he's like, well, I control what I can control, and I can't control that. But I think they could perhaps exert a little more control on how the hiring cycle works.
Virginia Tech, James Franklin, what do you think of that partnership?
I like it. I think it's good. I think it's good for both. Franklin, his biggest problem was Ohio State and Michigan. Guess what? They're not in the ACC, and nobody like them is in the ACC, especially with Clemson and Florida State currently in the shape that they're in. And the program with the third most ACC titles this century is Virginia Tech, behind Clemson and Florida State. They've won 4 of them. That's a good program when they're up and going. They got a little outdated. They got a little bit behind maybe in terms of compensation model for players, but they say they're all in now. And James Franklin can win you 10 games, absolutely. Can he win 11, 12? We'll see. But in that league, I think you got a better chance to do it. And in that league, you got a better chance to finish 1 or 2 and go to the playoff.
What's Penn State doing?
That's a good question. I think they're looking in a lot of different areas. I think Signetti would have been probably the first option there, but he quickly took himself out of it. I don't think Matt Rule was a super attractive option to begin with. He's taken himself out of it. A lot of talk about assistant coaches, Brian Hartline at Ohio State, possibly Joe Brady from the NFL, who's with the Buffalo Bills. Eli Drinkwitz maybe from Missouri. So there are options there, but that one's been maybe a little more quiet than the SEC searches.
What about the other job openings? What do you got? Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma State?
Yeah, all of those. Arkansas, again, that was one where Rhett Lashley made a lot of sense, but he's taken his name out. I think Alex Golish at South Florida, who's done a good job there, could be in play possibly at an Arkansas. He was the offensive coordinator for Josh Heupel at Tennessee. UCLA is an interesting one. I'm not sure where they're at out there. I still think that could be an attractive job, but they've been so far behind from a money standpoint that how much do they want to catch up? We're going to find out. Oklahoma State, been a lot of talk about some coaches from Texas possibly going there, and that makes sense from a recruiting standpoint. Eric Morris at North Texas, who's having a great season, 10-1, and plays an entertaining offense. Some people of that nature.
We're talking to Pat Forde, Sports Illustrated senior writer. The Sarkeesian rumors, Diana Rossini on her podcast talked about that his people are exploring or at least putting feelers out there for the NFL. What do you make of that, especially if they don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be shocked if he's at least going to look at it, and I would trust Diana Rossini's reporting on that. But I don't think Texas is like fed up with Steve Sarkeesian to the point of like, please go. I don't think they've reached that point. This season's definitely been a disappointment. You start number 1, you're now 7-3. You're probably out of the playoff. Maybe if you beat Texas A&M, you can reverse that. But I would say next year would be a critical mass year for him. And here's the question there, Dan. If you are pretty well tethered to Arch Manning and you don't think Arch Manning's that good, maybe you're like, okay, this might be time to get out instead of going through year 2 with Arch being just an okay quarterback and the blame coming back on you.
How important is the USC-Oregon game?
Very. Oregon's in great position, but USC is pushing to try to get into the playoff. They only have the 2 losses. One's at Notre Dame. So their resume is not bad. They need a big skin, and certainly or winning at Eugene would provide that. Tough place to win. Indiana did it, but historically very hard place to win. Lincoln Riley could use it. He's had a good year. It had been a downward trend from his first year until this season. Maybe reversing that now. A big way to reverse it is to win this game, finish 10-2, and make the playoff.
Has he bought himself another year, no matter what the outcome is this weekend?
Yeah, mostly because he's too expensive. I mean, his buyout's astronomical, and I think it's easier still on top of that because they're 8-2, and they should at worst be 9-3 in the regular season, close to the playoff chase, that sort of thing. Have gotten over some of the shortcomings that we've seen year after year from him. So I think there's definite signs of improvement, and they've got a big recruiting class coming in for next year.
Safe travels, Pat. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
Pat Forde.